history and details of Marvel Comics' version of Captain Marvel is quite detailed and has its twists and turns, from dealings and conflict with rival publishers Fawcett and DC Comics to multiple characters within the Marvel Universe taking the name of Captain Marvel to the death of the original Marvel, which in and of itself was the original de facto death of a headlining character for the company to modern circumstances with the character. Originally, the first comic company to copyright and license the name and title of Captain Marvel was with Fawcett Comics, and to this day, he remains the original Captain Marvel. Created as a rival against Superman, Captain Marvel comics actually sold incredibly well, even outselling Superman comics at one time. However, DC would be threatened by this character and launched legal action, suing Fawcett for copyright infringement and claims against Fawcett Comics' character. The legal process was long and costly for Fawcett, eventually being one of the reasons why the company collapsed. As a result of the collapse of Fawcett Comics, the legal copyright of who owned the name and title of Captain Marvel lapsed. Deciding to take advantage of the situation, Marvel released a new character in 1967 and claimed the rights of the name. To this day, they still own the rights, though DC would later acquire the rights and most characters to its former rival Fawcett Comics. Not being able to technically use the Captain Marvel name is a bitter source of contention that fans and people at DC have had against Marvel, and is one reason why Captain Marvel has been rebranded as Shazam in modern times. This new character was also based in part ironically on Fawcett Comics' version of Captain Marvel, which had the concepts of a more space and cosmic oriented version of a character and whom the alter ego of the hero had conflict and could not exist with the hero manifestation of the character. Hence, both had hard times existing at the same time. Though the character was first introduced in 1967, the character was only an average success and had intermittent appearances through the early years of Marvel Comics, and had a spin-off of Mar-Vell, Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, in 1977. Though the circumstances for obtaining her powers was from when she was caught in an explosion with Captain Mar-Vell in 1969. When the comic ceased in 1979, Marvel kept the trademark on the Captain Marvel name, if only to keep the rights within their control. They didn't want DC to regain the rights, out of possible fears that they could revive the Captain Marvel comic for their own possible future plans for the trademark. When the character died, it was considered the death associated with Marvel for decades, and it was considered one of the best stories ever written at Marvel Comics. Though other characters have taken his name, his impact on Marvel Comics is now fully acknowledged. The Kree Empire. To understand Mar-Vell fully, we first must discuss where he hails from. The Kree Empire. First mentioned in Fantastic Four issue 64, the Kree are a humanoid race who control a vast empire within the Greater Magnetic Cloud and have had associated on occasion with the peoples of Earth. The origins of the Kree race are from a planet named Hala in the Pama star system far before the first traces of mammalian life manifested on Earth. The original Kree were of the now iconic blue skin colored peoples. These are the original Kree. Later generations were of a pink color due to genetically compatible aliens that mixed into the Kree race. Though physically similar to humans in terms of the outward appearance, due to evolution there are differences within the Kree physiology, such as higher gravity on Hala and an atmosphere with greater nitrogen content. Though the average Kree are unable to breathe Earth's oxygen-based atmosphere without special equipment, their denser bodies on average are twice as strong as a human's when compared with endurance and physical strength. In terms of evolution, the Kree has already reached the maximum point of development as a people overall. The Kree Empire has its origin more than 1,000,000 years ago, with over 100 years of technological interaction with the then benevolent Skrull Empire. At the time, the Skrulls believed in creating an empire based on galactic free trade, and when they first encountered the primitive Kree people, they sensed that there could be something more from them and developed contact. Hala actually had another race besides the Kree, a plant-based people called the Kokati. Deciding to pitch a test between the two races, the Skrulls would deem one of them more worthy and give the worthy race technology for them to adopt and evolve from. Through the test, the Skrulls actually deemed the Kokati to be superior, and this enraged the Kree. During the revolt, the Kree killed the Skrull ambassador and took over a Skrull battleship with all of the technology on board. Mastering all of the logistics, communication, and machinery within 2 generations, the Skrull will come to hate the Kree, and this incident was the origins of the now legendary Kree-Skrull conflict. Though Hala is the planetary origin of the Kree people, the seat of the Empire lies on Kree-Lar in the Turunal star system. The Kree government is that of a military dictatorship, with the Empire being led by that of the organic computer construct, the Supreme Intelligence, which itself is a combination of all the greatest Kree intellectuals. Though Earth is in a different star system than any Kree-controlled planet, the Kree are aware of Earth from all the way back with the test that the Skrulls commanded with the Kokati. As a result, the Kree built a now abandoned city on the blue side of the moon. After the Kree-Skrull War began, the Kree built a small military outpost on Uranus, and though it was close to Earth, it was meant to observe Skrull trade and starship warp points from the Skrull Empire, which had planets nearby. When the Kree observed the first instances of life on Earth, they soon learned the potential of this race genetically, like they themselves once before. Almost infinite genetic potential. Theorizing that this might become a threat to themselves and their empire, the Kree experimented on a small minority of human beings, which eventually became the Inhumans. What's not publicly known with the Kree populace, but known only to the highest ranking officials, is that the Earth is an extremely high threat to the Kree, not only to their evolutionary dead end, but to their empire as well. Captain Mar-Vell, alias Dr. Walter Lawson. First appearance, Mar-Vell Superheroes Issue 12, December 1967. Mar-Vell himself was of a minority within the blue-skinned Kree people, but despite prejudice and racism because of his pale skin, he proved himself to be a skilled warrior and honorable man. Mar-Vell quickly earned the reputation during battles against Kree enemies. Mar-Vell's regiment was under the command of Yon-Rogg, whom was charged with observing Earth, specifically the progress of human space travel. Yon-Rogg was jealous of his relationship with the regiment's medic, Una, and Yon-Rogg tasked Mar-Vell with infiltrating a human military base, Cape Canaveral, within the American state of Florida, alone without any support. Yon-Rogg then decided to take advantage of the situation and attempted to fire on Mar-Vell's ship as he headed to Earth, but missed. The resulting accident caused the death of a human man, Dr. Walter Lawson. Mar-Vell decided to take advantage of the situation and took the identity of the deceased man. Yon-Rogg decided to again attack Mar-Vell by activating a sentry robot and using it to attack Mar-Vell. He fought against the robot wearing his Kree uniform while a crowd of spectators observed. Misinterpreting his name of Mar-Vell, the crowds called him Captain Mar-Vell. Mar-Vell continued to live his alternate persona for a period of time, gathering information about humans and dealing with his co-worker, Carol Danvers. His original adventures were basically him fending off Yon-Rogg through various schemes. Mar-Vell soon found himself in a pseudo-love triangle between himself, Una, and Carol, whom was very forward with her intentions. One fatal incident had Una trying to warn Mar-Vell of an attack from Yon-Rogg, and she was fatally shot during the incident, with Una dying in Mar-Vell's arms. Before Mar-Vell decided to leave Earth to strike back at Yon-Rogg for revenge with Una's death, he encountered a powerful being in space named Zoe, whom enhanced Mar-Vell's own heightened abilities. Through espionage and circumstances, he was given a new name and allowed to keep most of the abilities that Zoe had given him. Returning to Earth, Mar-Vell encountered Rick Jones and later obtained the Negabons, weapons created by the Supreme Intelligence to be bestowed upon the greatest Kree warrior. Yon-Rogg will call Mar-Vell out for a final showdown holding Carol hostage. Not wanting another to die because of him, the two fought, and Carol was saved, with Yon-Rogg dying in an explosion, and Carol also caught in the blast, the result of which having most of Mar-Vell's abilities grafted into Carol, and her later becoming Miss Mar-Vell. Mar-Vell would later have a number of memorable encounters and adventures with Rick Jones, one of which gave Mar-Vell the ability to absorb solar energy and redirect the energy as cosmic blasts of force. A fateful event of Mar-Vell's life when he became involved against the plans of Thanos. Eon, a cosmic being within the Mar-Vell universe, ordained him as the next protector of the universe, bestowing upon him a special cosmic awareness. With the newfound purpose and determination, he became the primary force against Thanos' schemes. The awareness given by Eon was instrumental in a battle against Thanos, with him and the Avengers teaming up against Thanos wielding the Cosmic Cube. The cosmic awareness that he had been given gave him insight into the cube, and Thanos was convinced that he had used up all of the energy within the cube and discarded it. Thus Mar-Vell took the cube and restored reality to a moment in time before Thanos had gained control over the universe. As time passed, Mar-Vell and Rick would have many more adventures, but they would often have to fuse, with Rick's essence within Mar-Vell for him to use his full power. For a period of time, Mar-Vell would actually live and travel with Rick fused inside of him. When a foe of Captain Mar-Vell, Commander Zarek, returned, he led a group called the Lunatic Legion, which had a minor villain, Nitro, in its ranks. In the process of stealing canisters of nerve gas for his scheme, Mar-Vell confronted him. Though Nitro was defeated and Mar-Vell sealed away the gas before the public was affected, he himself was exposed to the fumes. This would later prove to be an event that would be a prelude to his own death. As a result of the conflict between Mar-Vell, Zarek, and the Legion, it would have been his death if it was not for the fusion between Mar-Vell and Rick. The increased power was enough to prevail against the odds. Returning to the Kree homeworld to inform the Supreme Intelligence of the plot, the intelligence actually revealed that it had already known of the conflict and that Mar-Vell would emerge victorious. Added to this, the Supreme Intelligence was actually the main driving force behind most of Mar-Vell's victories, and he had been observed for most of his life. The Supreme Intelligence knew that the Kree race had reached an evolutionary dead end eons ago, and its only hope for survival was to integrate and genetically mix with other compatible alien races to revamp its own genetic development. Mar-Vell was chosen due to his own genetic makeup and being a pale-skinned Kree minority. Even the first encounter with Rick Jones had been orchestrated. Him obtaining the Negabons had been orchestrated by the intelligence. The Supreme Intelligence would then attempt to absorb both Mar-Vell and Rick into itself, both physically and mentally, but the duo managed to escape. The revelation that he had been observed like an animal and the attempt on his life caused him to abandon his loyalty to the Kree Empire for the rest of his life. Back on Earth, Mar-Vell and Jones were great friends, but it was time for them to part ways. After both went on their own separate journeys, he later worked at an observatory, had an adventure with the Defenders, and teamed up with the Avengers once again against Thanos. Thanos had corrupted the Moon Titan, and this put him at odds with the Eternals, and the computer world Isaac. Helping the Eternals restore order, he later fell in love with one of them, Ulysses, and this will remain to be the relationship of his life, with the pair having adventures on both Titan and Earth. Sadly, the exposure to the gauze years before proved fatal, as it was later turned out to be cancerous, and the said cancer turned malignant. With nothing that could be done, he spent his last days on Titan surrounded by Ulysses and his friend's mentor and Star Fox. Other allies and friends of his later came to visit him on his deathbed, including Benjamin Grimm, the Thing, Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man, Drax the Destroyer, and an ambassador of the Skrull Empire who awarded Mar-Vell with the Skrull Empire's Medal of Valor and was considered to be the greatest single foe the Skrull Empire had ever known. Even granted posthumous honorary membership in the Avengers, and a monument was erected for him on Titan after his death. Miss Mar-Vell, alias Carol Danvers. First appearance, Mar-Vell Superheroes, issue 13, March 1968. Originally a supporting character for early Captain Mar-Vell stories, Carol Danvers soon proved to be popular enough of a character on her own to star in her own comic book and be a supporting Avengers and X-Men character. Carol Danvers entered the United States Air Force upon graduating from high school in order to pursue her love of aircrafts and her dreams of flying. Top of her class as a student in the Air Force Academy, her ambition led her to rapid career advancement, rising to the rank of major. Because of her Air Force experience, military compatibility, and natural intelligence, she was recruited into the intelligence field. Later working with the CIA, during this time she first met and worked with Colonel Nick Fury. Partnered up with a Colonel Michael Rossi, the two of them soon became close. While on assignment with Fury, Carol would first encounter a lifelong friend, a Canadian agent named Logan. During one of their legendary adventures together, the duo clashes with Sabretooth, whom was working for the Hellfire Club. It's been theorized, but never proven, that Carol and Logan have been lovers. Both have saved each other's lives numerous times. Later, because of her affiliation with the CIA, Carol took a position with NASA as the security director for Cape Canaveral within the American state of Florida. During her service there, she first met Captain Mar-Vell of the Kree Empire. This would later to be the most faithful encounter of her life, as she would become intrigued with this mysterious soldier. At first they were rivals, friends, and later lovers. During a conflict between Yon-Rogg and Mar-Vell, Carol was caught in an explosion from Yon-Rogg's weapon, a Kree Psyche Magnetron device, which somehow caused their genetic structure to be melded with that of Mar-Vell's. Though he was unaffected, Carol was now a perfect being of Kree and human genes. Added to that, she obtained all of Mar-Vell's Kree knowledge and military training. As a result, Miss Mar-Vell was born. After it was discovered that Captain Mar-Vell was an alien military agent who was sent to Cape Canaveral, and partially her fault that Mar-Vell obtained technology, intel, and later escaped, she was fired from her position. Though she would recover quickly from the loss, writing a memoir about her experiences in the space industry. As a result of success from this novel writing, she obtained a position as the editor of a magazine which was under the Daily Bugle. Her feminist views created tension with J. Jonah Jameson, but the magazine experienced increased sales under her leadership. Though everything was well in her life, the persona of Miss Mar-Vell began to manifest. There would be times where she would black out entirely and the other persona would completely take over her body. As time passed, she came to accept her role and both personas merged. Originally, Miss Mar-Vell had a uniform similar to Captain Mar-Vell's and could literally transform into the costume instead of putting it on or simply taking it off. As Miss Mar-Vell, Carol fought against many villains including Deathbird, MODOK, AIM, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, the Hellfire Club, and Mystique. She also later joined the Avengers, where most of her iconic ventures would be. During this time, one of the most controversial incidents with the character occurred. During this initial time with the Avengers, Carol attracted the attention of Marcus, the son of Immortus, who was an alternate future version of Kang the Conqueror. Observing the Avengers from afar, he later became obsessed with Carol and actually kidnapped her, later using Immortus' technology to manipulate her mind into her loving him. Marcus impregnated her with a child whom, upon birth, would later rapidly age into Marcus himself, enabling him to escape a temporal prison. He later would return Carol to the Avengers, unaware of her time and assault in the prison. She would later be deeply shocked at the unplanned pregnancy, and she didn't know who the father was. The pregnancy occurred within a matter of days. The entire experience left her badly shaken as a woman and as a heroine. Marcus would later die through circumstances and rapid aging. Carol was deeply disgusted at the events and betrayal by the Avengers, who did not do much to question Marcus or his intentions. Using Immortus' technology to return to Earth, Carol decided to settle in San Francisco instead of return to the Avengers headquarters in New York City. Her presence in the city was noted by the psychic Destiny, who prophesied something would occur between her and Mystique's adopted daughter Rogue. Claiming that Carol would destroy Rogue's life, Mystique vowed to destroy her to prevent this prophecy from being fulfilled. Rogue, who actually overheard the conversation and noticing a change in Mystique, decided to fight Miss Mar-Vell by herself. Attacking Carol atop the Golden Gate Bridge, Rogue used her mutant powers of absorption against Carol. However, something went horribly wrong and Rogue absorbed too much of Carol's own abilities. Some of the abilities she obtained from Miss Mar-Vell will be permanent, and Rogue was nearly driven mad by the combined personas in her own mind. Throwing Carol's lifeless body from the bridge, she would be saved by another old friend of hers, Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. At a hospital, doctors diagnosed Carol as being in a comatose state, and they were unable to really help her. Jessica called in Professor Xavier from the X-Men, who was able to pull Carol's consciousness out, but the emotions connecting to the memories, her consciousness with the memories, was gone. Jessica remained with Carol at the Xavier's mansion for a period of time to help her recover from the experience. Now powerless and violated both physically and mentally, she confronted the Avengers and voiced her anger towards them about the betrayal. Not wanting anything to do with the Avengers, she joined the X-Men. Remaining with the team for a period of time, she was captured by the Brood. Upon examinations, they discovered her Kree human physiology, and experiments upon her transformed her into the cosmic power binary. She would be more powerful than ever. Having positive experiences with the X-Men, she was seriously considering making her membership official when Rogue actually came to the X-Men for help. Upon seeing Rogue, this drove Carol into such a rage that she attacked her and hit her so hard that Rogue was flown into the upper atmosphere of the Earth's orbit. The X-Men informed Carol that due to circumstances, Rogue joined the X-Men. Not wanting this at all, Carol decided to take an offer to join the space pirate group known as the Starjammers and leave everything behind on Earth. Becoming a respected member of the group, she helped Leandra reclaim the Shi'ar throne from a conflict and was able to escape the pain and loss within her life. Adventuring and living among the stars, she lived her dreams and remained with the group. However, finding happiness with the Starjammers was short-lived, as she actually became bored after a period of time. The lack of any real opponents for the group, as well as her impressive powers, left her wanting more from things. While on mission with the Starjammers, she went against orders when she learned that the Earth's sun was in danger and aided fellow Avenger Kazar in saving it. This helped to reconcile her feelings towards the Avengers. Afterwards, she rebuilt her life on Earth. Wanting a new start on Earth, she renamed herself Warbird and rejoined the Avengers. Though she wanted a new beginning, problems plagued her from the start. Her powers were slowly disappearing, which brought her into a confrontation with Captain America. Also, she had developed a drinking addiction, which instantly was noticed by former alcoholic and fellow Avenger Iron Man. The combination of her drinking with her always fierce determination and secretiveness about her power loss combined to a serious deterioration of the quality of her performance on the team and with the other heroes and heroines. Rather than face her problems, she quit the team. This all occurred during a conflict with the Kree, and with their powers not being at their normal state, she was unable to help. Disheartened, she knew that she had hit the lowest point in her life. Moving to Seattle, she once again became a writer, having small successes with writing and dealing with her alcoholism, but refused to accept that she was an addict. After a few disastrous combat situations, Carol was hospitalized for alcohol poisoning. The diagnosis was that she had done considerable damage to her internal organs, and another drink might actually kill her. This, combined with a drunken incident where she almost destroyed a plane full of innocent people during an angry rage, forced her to finally admit that she was an alcoholic. From Alcoholic Anonymous meetings, her situation has gone better and even been accepted back into the Avengers once more, and has called herself Miss Mar-Vell once again. Though at times Carol Danvers might be unsure of herself or her powers, Captain America assured her that there would always be a place on the Avengers team for her and a home for her as well in the Avengers Mansion.